Hi guys, it's Shelby from Board Games for Two, and today I wanted to talk to you about my favorite cozy games that Joe and I have in our collection. Now, the first thing that we've got to tackle is what is cozy. I got on dictionary.com before I started filming, and it gives me words like warm, snuggly, comfortable. No, I don't disagree with that at all. I like those words. They're good ways to describe it. But for me, cozy is a feeling. You're playing games with your friends, your favorite people. It's raining outside. There's a fire going in a fireplace. You're listening to good vibes, good music, just having the best time. You may have a robe on. Who knows? But that's warm and snuggly to me, and I feel like we've got a couple of good games in our collection that really epitomize that feeling, and I wanted to talk to you about them. So without further ado, let's get into my list. Okay, so the first game that we're going to talk about is Planted, a game of nature and nurture. Now, you've got a great theme in Planted, and that's that you are a gardener and you are going to make your plants grow by feeding them the right amount of plant food, sunlight, and water. Now, if that's not cozy, then I don't know what is. There's nothing, it's a competitive game, but there's no head-to-head, cutthroat mechanics, no real gotcha moments. You've got kind of a seven wonders pass back and forth mechanic, so in reality you can only be mad at yourself if you don't end up with a card that you want because you passed it to your neighbor, so it is what it is there. But it's 2023. What millennial, what person my age, what older person doesn't have a plant in their home that they're responsible for? And you can have that in board game form with Planted. We love it. It's got great little plant cards, the chunkiest little components in the sunshine, the water. There's green thumbs. It's literal bags of sunshine with these components, and it just doesn't get much better than that. You can kind of upgrade your garden with things like a ceramic planter, a macrame basket. It's great. It's just a fun little easy game to get to the table, very family oriented, and it's super cozy for a rainy day. Our second game on the list is Parks. Now, this one initially drew me in because of the artwork on the box, which is a very much, don't judge a book by its cover, but it's so hard not to when it's pretty like this. And cozy kind of reminds me of like earthy tones, kind of woodland tones, and Parks definitely has that in all of the artwork in the game. Ultimately, this game is about you are a hiker, you're kind of going along the trail, collecting resources along the way and spending those resources on national park cards. And there's plenty of cards in the game, all kind of parks. It's the U.S. National Park System that you're using, and it's just a really great, lighthearted game. Very easy, very good to get to the table. It's actually one of my favorite kind of travel games. If Joe and I are taking a road trip somewhere, we've been visiting a lot of national parks, so it's fun to, you're back at the Airbnb for the night, you're wanting to call it a day, you're done with all your hiking and adventuring, and it's time for your vacation ice cream and board game. That's what we do. That's our nightly routine when we're visiting someplace. And so it's really easy to pick up Parks and play it. And this is another game that I don't think is very cutthroat. You can have another hiker occupy your space, and you're like, oh shoot, I can't go there now. Oh man, that's so sad. Wrong. You have a campfire. You extinguish your campfire and you can go to that space. So really nobody loses out in terms of that. So it's very hard to get mad at somebody else for taking resources or anything like that. But yeah, so Parks is a good one, and that's number 2 on my list. Now, the next game on my list is Everdell, and in terms of it being cozy, I've got 2 words: woodland creatures. In Everdell, you are a little critter who has been tasked with developing a new city, a new territory in this little valley called Everdell. The rule book has a poem. It has all kinds of history on the town and the little creatures that kind of founded the area. It's the cutest thing. The artwork, again, with the earthy tones, I think I decided that's a big part of what makes a game cozy, I guess, is the coloring. But the artwork is great. The animals in the game are just the cutest thing. You've got things like badgers and mice. And I'm not a big insect person, but they can make a caterpillar, you know, cute for reasons unknown how, but it's still adorable. And then you've got little animeeples again, and we got a couple of expansions, and with each expansion you can have different little meeples, so that's pretty fun. But the base game still gives you so much to begin with anyway. But you know, there's probably the neatest little components in this game as well. You've got little berries that are actually kind of squishy, and it just kind of cracks me up playing with these. But the funny thing to me, in terms of cozy, is you've got a component that, or a resource that, it's not a stone, it's not a rock, it's a pebble. And if you're gonna have a cozy game, you want it to be full of pebbles. You know, I love that about this game. So you are tasked with building your city, you're playing cards, you're collecting resources, kind of earning points by gaining certain events. It's just another very lighthearted, fun game that's very easy to get to the table. Speaking of, you've got this really neat, it's called the Ever Tree, a cardboard tree that you can use on the table. It kind of holds the big deck of cards, which is kind of neat. So the table presence with this game is really fun. But the publisher of the game has Everdell, and then they also have another version for kind of a younger audience. So that's really neat. Same game, My Little Everdell. So I think it's kind of fun that they have appealed to kind of a family, younger crowd, in addition to having this game plus all the expansions that can really elevate the strategy. But again, this one, it's head to head. So there is some competition. It's, you know, you want to have the most victory points, but it's too hard to get mad at somebody when they play, you know, they're collecting resources and beating you with, you know, an armadillo card. It's too cute. So I don't get mad in this game when I lose. This is one where I just have fun no matter what happens. So that's Everdell. So the next game on my list is Flamecraft, and that's another one where the artwork just really drew me in. Just the colors are really nice, and the artwork is super cute. It's tiny dragons. You can't be mad about that. So basically, kind of the summary of the game is you and your competitors are what's called a flame keeper, and you can actually talk to the dragons. So you're responsible for placing each dragon in its home shop, kind of. You know, you kind of pair the right dragon with the right shop to be able to elevate the goods that it can produce. You know, kind of in the lore, these dragons are artisans and produce different goods. It's bread and meats and diamonds and things like that. And so the little dragon itself, is supposed to produce like a higher level of goods. That's kind of how it goes. But the really cozy thing about this, as I said, was the artwork. But again, the components are really neat. Your little town square is actually this little neoprene mat. You've got a whole different variety of shops, and they have really kind of witty names. One of my favorites, you've got Draco Bell and Fogo de Char. I think it's just pretty good. I mean, they're just punny little shop names. And then each of the dragons also has their own little individual names, and they have kind of their own abilities, little things that they can do, certain resources they can collect, that kind of stuff. But it's just funny. You've got, you know, flambe, cutlet. I think there's a hot dog in here. And I just think that's really good. Olive, I know. All just kind of different themes, different bread and plants and meat, things like that. So it's just funny. It's another game where, yes, it's competitive, it's head to head, you're playing against other people, but it's so hard to get mad when somebody goes someplace, maybe takes a spot that you were planning on placing your little dragon meeple, collects resources, plays a card. It's just funny. You can have different kind of fancy dragons, they call them, that gives you more victory points. So if someone, you might be losing because someone played a good fancy dragon, but again, those dragons are named and they can do special things. So it's just cute. With this particular game, I like to see what other people do. Even if I'm losing, it is what it is. I like to see the dragons that are out there and the different shops. So this one's a lot of fun as well. So you can't really go wrong. Like I said, tiny dragons. So I have saved my favorite cozy game for last, and that is Stardew Valley, the board game. And the reason why I think that it's so cozy, that I love it so much, part of it at least, is that it is a cooperative game. So no head-to-head competition. If you're playing with someone, you're winning together and you're losing together. And so that's kind of nice. It just feels a little bit more wholesome that way in terms of coziness. But this game is based off the PC game, the Switch game, the mobile game now. It's been so popular. They translated it to tabletop, and ultimately Stardew Valley is a farming sim. You have inherited a farm from your grandfather, and you are tasked with restoring it to its former glory. So you can plant crops, you can go fishing, you can collect items along the way, you're taking care of livestock, you can own chickens and cows and ducks and sheep. So that's a lot of fun, being able to tend to your animals, things like that. But one of the best parts of the game is making friends with the villagers. If you're familiar with the other versions of the game, all of your favorites are here. You've got the same bachelors, same bachelorettes. You still have the little void creature. Krobus is still running around in the sewers. Just all kinds of little things like that. They did a great job bringing it to a board game format with an event deck, with all the different seasons. There's different festivals that are held, kind of like the egg festival, kind of an Easter egg hunt situation. There's the luau in the summer, just things like that that are a lot of fun. You can go into the mines, digging for geodes. You can complete the town museum, finding certain artifacts. It's just a lot of fun. And, at the end, sometimes we're kind of scrambling to finish certain tasks and be able to win the game. But as I said before, you're winning and you're losing together. So if you can do it on a farm, then to me, that's one of the coziest ways to do it. So Stardew Valley, the board game, highly recommend this one. Well, I think that about sums it up for my cozy board gaming video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end and watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts about what you think about these 5 games. If you have any other cozy games that you would want to recommend to me, I'd really appreciate it. So until next time.